A cry echoed from stone, too deep to see the bottom. Something alive was trapped. She leaned over the well. Cold air rushed upward. Golden eyes stared back. A massive lion struggled below, stone walls slick with age. No way out. Fear tightened her chest. Instinct screamed to leave. She stayed. The lion roared, pain, not rage. His cub cried nearby. Time mattered. She scanned the ruins. Rope, wood, rusted tools. A plan formed. She tied knots with shaking hands. Every loop had to hold. One mistake meant death. The rope descended slowly. The lion watched. Trust tested. He lunged, then stopped. Eyes locked on hers. Understanding passed. She anchored the rope, braced her feet, pulled. Stone scraped fur. The lion climbed, muscles screaming. The rope burned her palms. Pain cut deep. She didn't let go. The cub cried louder. Rain clouds gathered. The well darkened. The lion slipped, a breath from falling. She pulled harder. With a final surge, the lion rose free, collapsed beside her. Silence followed. Rain began to fall. The cub ran to him. She stepped back slowly, hands open, no threat. The lion stood, towering, watching her. Seconds stretched. Then he turned away. Gone. She sank to the ground, hands bleeding, alive. Night fell fast. Thunder rolled. Wolves howled far off. She reached her cabin, bolted the door, listened. The storm intensified. Howls grew closer, circling. Windows rattled, shadows moved. No weapons. A wolf slammed the door. Wood cracked. Fear surged. She backed away. No escape, no help. The wolves gathered, eyes glowing, hunger loud. A howl cut through, deeper, louder, different. The wolves froze, ears pinned, tension snapped. A roar split the storm. The lion returned, not alone. He charged the wolves, pure power unleashed. The pack scattered. Claws met fur, snow and rain mixed. Chaos erupted. The lion fought relentlessly, protective, focused. Wolves retreated. One last challenge, then silence. The storm eased. The lion stood guard, unmoving. She opened the door slowly, met his eyes again, alive because of him. He didn't approach, didn't need to. Promise kept. The cub appeared behind him, safe, watching. Dawn broke the clouds. Golden light returned. The night ended. The lion turned away, led the cub onward, into wild grass. She watched until they vanished, heart heavy, grateful. Scars throbbed in her hands. Worth it, every one. The well stood silent, stone soaked with rain. A memory. Nature moved on, as it always does. She changed. Courage echoed in quiet, not loud, enduring. She closed her door. The world felt different, safer. Wolves would return someday, so would storms. She was ready. The wild remembers debts, in its own way, always. She survived the night, not alone, never again. The land breathed, the story stayed, unforgotten. When the storm finally loosened its grip, the land did not celebrate, it simply breathed. Rain slid from leaves in slow, patient drops. Mud settled. The wind softened, as if it had grown tired of watching bloodless wars and silent courage unfold. The wolves were gone, not chased, not hunted, but undone by something older than hunger, something deeper than teeth. The woman remained where she stood, just beyond the broken threshold of her cabin. Her body trembled now, not from fear, but from release. Fear had already done its work. It had sharpened her senses, stripped her down to instinct, forced her to endure what no human should face alone in the dark. What came after was quieter, heavier. Survival always is. She looked at her hands. The skin was torn, swollen, stained with dirt and dried blood. Each mark was a memory, the rope cutting deep, the stone biting back, the moment when letting go would have been easier than holding on. Pain pulsed with her heartbeat, but it no longer mattered. Pain meant she was still here. Across the clearing, the lion stood unmoving, not triumphant, not aggressive, simply present. His chest rose and fell slowly, each breath thick with exhaustion. Golden rainwater clung to his mane, darkened by the night's violence. He bore the quiet marks of battle, scratches, torn fur, the cost of standing between hunger and a fragile human shelter. Yet his posture remained steady, grounded, final. This was not a guardian trained by hands or commands. This was something far rarer, a choice. The woman did not step closer. She understood now that survival in the wild is not about control or dominance or gratitude. It's about respect, knowing when to stay, when to move, and when to simply witness. Their eyes met once more. In that moment, there was no debt, no promise spoken, no pact made. What had passed between them earlier, at the well, at the edge of death, had already been fulfilled. Nature does not keep score the way humans do. It balances differently, more quietly. Behind the lion, the cub emerged from the tall grass, small, unsteady, alive. The cub paused, sensing the woman's presence, curiosity flickering where fear should have been. The lion shifted slightly, placing himself between them, not as a warning, but as a boundary. This was his world, his responsibility. And then, without ceremony, he turned away. Each step carried him back into the land that shaped him. Grass swallowed his form. The cub followed, disappearing where the wild always hides its truths. No lingering glance, no dramatic farewell, just departure. The woman stood alone again, but she was not the same woman who had peered into the darkness of a stone well days before. That woman had been driven by impulse, by a single moment of courage that defied logic. This one carried the weight of consequence. She understood now what courage costs and what it gives back. The sun rose slowly, pale light pushing against retreating clouds. Birds returned first, hesitant calls breaking the silence. The land stitched itself together the way it always does, indifferent to the terror it hosts at night. She walked back inside her cabin. The walls were scarred, the door splintered. Mud and claw marks told a story no one else would ever hear. She did not rush to clean them away. Some marks deserved to remain, at least for a while, proof that what happened was real. She sat on the floor and let the exhaustion come. It rolled over her in waves, heavy, relentless, deserved. Her muscles ached, her eyes burned. Sleep hovered close for a moment longer. She needed to remember this feeling, not the fear, but the stillness after. Because survival is not only about making it through the night, it is about living with what the night leaves behind. Outside, the ancient stone well stood silent. It looked harmless now, just weathered rock and shadow, softened by morning light. But she knew better. She knew how easily death can hide in places that seem forgotten, how a single misstep, a single fall can rewrite destinies, human and animal alike. She wondered what would have happened if she had walked away that first day, if she had chosen safety over action. The lion would have died below, the cub would not have survived long alone, and when the wolves came, because they always do, there would have been nothing between her and their hunger. The wild does not reward kindness, but sometimes it remembers it. Days passed. The land returned to routine rhythms, sunrise, wind, distant calls. Yet something subtle had shifted. She felt it in the way she listened now, in how she moved more carefully, more deliberately. The wild was no longer a backdrop, it was a presence, watching, weighing, indifferent but aware. At night, she sometimes heard sounds beyond the firelight, heavy steps, a low breath carried by the wind. She never saw the lion again, not clearly, but she felt the absence of threat where danger once lived. That absence was louder than any roar. Protection does not always announce itself. What she learned could not be written down or explained in warnings and signs. It was something felt in the body, in the pause before action, a lesson older than language, that fear and courage are not opposites but companions. One sharpens the other. She had stepped into the wild, expecting nothing more than to survive it. She emerged understanding something far greater, that the line between human and animal is thinner than we pretend, that instinct is not savagery, it's wisdom refined by time, that mercy, when chosen freely, can ripple outward in ways we will never fully see. The lion did not save her because she was human. He saved her because she had acted without cruelty. And the wolves did not retreat because they feared her. They retreated because something stronger stood in their way. In the end, there were no heroes carved from this night, no victors, only balance restored. The wild reclaimed its silence. The woman reclaimed her breath. And somewhere beyond sight, beneath the same sky, a lion and his cub moved forward, alive because one human chose not to look away. Some stories end with answers. This one ends with respect. For the wild does not belong to us. We only pass through it, sometimes long enough to be remembered.